There is a song, a Passover song that we in the Christian church are learning and have learned from our Jewish brothers and sisters. It is a song to be sung during Holy Week, the week before Easter, and it is in the Voices United hymn book. It has a lot of verses. If our God had simply saved us, merely brought us out of Egypt, only opened up our prison, Dayenu. If our God had split the Red Sea, made a way through walls of water, only opened up the waters, Dayenu. If our God had given to us less than 10 words as prescription, simply told us, take the tablets, Dayenu. You get it. It tells the history of Israel. And then at verse 14, if our God had fed us only, feasted us upon the mountain, not inviting all the neighbors, Dayenu, then the end. But our God, who holds the banquet, calls the whole world into freedom, opens up the new creation, Dayenu. Dayenu is repeated again and again, and it translates enough. It would have been enough. By repeating the stories of all the times that the people have experienced God's presence, there is a sense how even the smallest signs of God's presence around us are enough. Dayenu is being said and sung all over the world right now, but in a different way. Dayenu is the name of the Jewish call to climate action, starting in the US, but encompassing the globe. Firstly, under the leadership of Rabbi Jenny Rosen, the translation of Dayenu is evolving. We have had enough, but we also have enough. We have what we need to transform our world. Rabbi Rosen's roots in social justice include work for equality for women and safety for refugees. That led her to the work of the deep care for the planet. In establishing Dayenu, its goal is to secure a just, livable, and sustainable world for all people, for generations now and to come, by building a multi-generational movement that confronts the climate change with spiritual audacity and bold political action. They state, we are rooted in Jewish values, wisdom, and tradition. Grounded in Jewish history and experience, we bring spirit, faith, and song to our work, engaging with both urgency and hope. And we seek to close the gap between the world as it is and the world as it should be. We are committed to effective political, economic, and cultural change. The ultimate measure of success is the real impact we have on mitigating the climate crisis and building equitable solutions. There is the sense that we need to be present in the moment to see God's love all around us and to find solutions to the crisis that we face. And we need to live faithfulness in our care and respect for one another. In the UK, there's a lot of climate conversation going on right now. Climate activists are calling for the government to make insulation of homes a priority. They are calling for action to protect people and the planet. In Germany, today is one of the Fridays for the Future, a climate day of climate protests around the country, around reducing coal consumption and making a real difference by curbing the CO2 emissions. They remember all too well the devastating floods that came as a part of climate change. And the calls to climate action were key issues in our recent federal election. We are constantly needing to ask, is what we are doing helping the health of our planet? How are we using water? How are we reducing, reusing, recycling. What are we as individuals doing to make the world a better place? It is crystal clear to the people who are the leaders of Dayenu and the leaders of climate action in the UK and Germany and the leaders of climate action here in Canada that what happens to this planet, to one of us, has an impact on all of us. And if that lesson was not clear before the pandemic, how one little thing has a big impact, it certainly should be clear to us now. That's the story of the scriptures today, that we're all linked, that we all matter to God. In the Gospel of Mark, again and again, there are confused disciples who do not seem to get it. They do not seem to get the secret that Jesus is the Messiah. They do not seem to get it, that God's love is not linear, that there is not a way in which our actions can make God love us more. And so Jesus is all about teaching the disciples again and again that suffering will come, death will come, and so will resurrection. And when they do not understand, instead they start fussing about who is the greatest. Another lesson comes from Jesus. They need to be servants. And just as Jesus had instructed them earlier in the gospel to preach and heal and to take nothing but a walking stick on their journey, they're told, be servants. They're told to give up their focus on power in the world or in heaven. They are to care for each other and for all. Again and again, Jesus reminds the disciples and us that we cannot earn God's love. We cannot be the greatest disciple. We cannot be the greatest disciple because there is no such thing. God's love is a gift. God's love is for all. God's love is for you. God's love is present in those moments of our successes and in the moments of our disappointments. God calls us to mercy and to justice. God calls us to love. God calls us to care for each other and for this fragile planet. Caring for the earth cannot wait. We need to act now. Caring for each other cannot wait. We need to live reconciliation now. Today, Dayenu. Amen.